Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah wa ba'd. Continuing with our questions, the next question that we received says, my daughter is 12 and a little on the weaker side physically. She started menstruating last year. Our fast will be almost 20 hours long and school is on as well. Will she have to keep them all, or can I get her to skip a few and keep them during the winter? طيب, if she has already started menstruating, it means that according to the definition of the Sharia, she is an adult, or she is at an age where she is liable, meaning that now she is going to be held accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of those acts which are obligations, such as the salah, such as fasting in Ramadan, such as the Hajj. So, and of course she has to observe the hijab and so on and so forth. Therefore we say that no, she must fast all those days. However, if she is fasting and then faces extreme difficulty, so you're genuinely afraid that she will be adversely affected in terms of her health and so on, then as with anybody else, as with any other individual, she may have an excuse to break the fast, but she must attempt to fast all of those days. Her being on the weak side, alright, so try to make sure that she eats a good suhoor, make sure that she gets plenty of rest, and so on. Anything to help her, and remember that school is not an excuse. Alright, as important as education is, except that when we are standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will be asked about why we did not fast, but we will not be asked about why we didn't attend school. Once again, not to take anything away from our education, it is extremely important and we should be educated, except that remember that we need to prioritize. I'm not saying keep her away from school either, but she must attempt to fast all of those days. This is an obligation upon her. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. The next question says, can I go to the dentist for a cleaning during Ramadan? They may polish the teeth or ask me to rinse my mouth. Well, my initial response is try to avoid that. Okay? Just a cleaning is not a necessity. It is not a necessity. Why should you try to avoid it? You should try to avoid it because, when they do the cleaning, the possibility of you swallowing water or whatever they spray in your mouth, maybe the polish, the mint, whatever it is that they are using, the possibility of you swallowing something is very high, and it is not something which is necessary and urgent. So delay it until after Ramadan, unless you can find a way to have it done in the evening or during the night after you have broken the fast. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Can I go to the dentist for something which involves freezing? The same thing, except that no, with the freezing, basically you're talking about an injection. And in our lessons, we spoke about how, if you look at the principles, the usul of all the madhahib, then any type of injection will invalidate the fast. So once again, avoid it unless it is a necessity. And if it is a necessity, you don't have to fast. You do not have to fast, and you make it up afterwards. So you may have an excruciating toothache. There's no way but to have some dental work done, which will involve the freezing and so on. So by all means, in this case, we say that you have a legitimate excuse and you simply have to make that day up afterwards. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Can I take an injection while fasting? What about taking medicine by IV? Alright, the same thing here. If you go back to one of our lessons on fiqh al-siyam, the rules and regulations pertaining to fasting, we said that all of this invalidates the fast. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, especially looking at the usul or the basics, the fundamentals of fiqh according to the four madhabs as an example. Although there is a widespread opinion today that any injections which do not provide nourishment to the body are permitted. Okay, but if they happen to provide nourishment for the body, then they are not permitted. But I would err on the side of caution and I say that all of that is not allowed and it will nullify the fast. So do not take any of them unless it is necessary. If it is necessary, khalas, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has waived fasting for you for that day, and you may make the day up at a later date. Not an issue. Right, the next one, if I need to travel during Ramadan for Umrah or for work, is it better to fast or not? If I choose to fast, how would I do so? As sunrise and sunset would differ and I may lose or gain a day. Okay, the issue of traveling. In our lesson, we mentioned that we cannot give the blanket statement or make a blanket statement that it is better for you to fast or it is better for you not to fast. But what we said is that during the month of Ramadan, if you are going to be traveling, and of course we're speaking for a legitimate reason, not to commit a sin, then you have the option either to fast or not to fast. And then we said it would be better for you to keep the fast if you think that inshallah ta'ala, although there may be some difficulty, of course fasting involves difficulty to begin with, it is a challenge, but if it's not going to be extremely difficult for you, if it's not too burdensome, then perhaps it is better for you to fast, because fasting now in the month of Ramadan while you're in it is easier than fasting at a time when nobody else is fasting, for example. But if it's going to be very burdensome, then it is better not to fast. Also, it is better not to fast in cases where you have these long haul flights and you're going to have daytime throughout, or something of that nature where it gets really tough and it gets extremely difficult. In this case, it's better not to fast. So we don't make a blanket statement, but we say according to your circumstances. Now, as far as the issue of traveling and breaking the fast, because it is mentioned here, the times of sunset. Okay, so when it comes to breaking the fast, this is a question that arises very often. If I'm leaving Vancouver, for example, at a certain time, then Maghrib comes in at 9 p.m. But because I'm traveling in a particular direction, maybe I leave Vancouver at 5 p.m. And when it's 9 p.m. in Vancouver, when it would be time to break the fast, wherever I am, it's still bright. It's still daytime because of the direction in which I am flying. So do I break my fast based on Vancouver time? And we say no, because you break the fast at sunset where you are at the time. Wherever you may be, flying over that region, when it's sunset, that is when you can break the fast. You cannot break the fast before that. And this is why I said in cases like this, where the day would be exaggerated or it would be prolonged so much, it would be better for the person not to observe the fast. But because they left before sunset, but after the time of fasting had begun, they would begin the day fasting in their hometown, and then once they get on the plane, for example, and once they take off, or even at the airport, once you passed security and you're certain that inshallah ta'ala the plane is leaving, then you may break the fast at that time. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.